There are many video player apps available. Some are nicer to use than others. But what makes one app better than another? Well, for one thing, users like easy navigation. Elements like buttons and menus need to be in expected and logical places on the screen. So, to create an enjoyable user experience, you should try to design simple and intuitive mobile apps that are easy to navigate. Fortunately, Android Studio has many layouts that you can use to achieve this. In this video, you will learn about the different types of layouts you can use in Android Studio to build the first screen that appears when a user launches an app, the main activity. By now, you know that one of the basic components of an app is activities. Generally, an Android app contains one or more activities, and each activity is one screen of the app. And these screens will contain one or more UI components. The structure of these UI components is defined by layouts. A good example of this is the installed apps tray on your mobile. Layouts are comprised of a collection of views and view group objects. But what does view and view group mean? A view is Android's built-in view class. When this is used to create a view, it can be referred to as an object. It represents a rectangular area of the screen and is used for displaying information or content and event handling. Text, images, and buttons are all views on Android. They can be grouped inside another view, which can act as a container. View group is a special use of the view class because it can contain one or more other views. In other words, view group is used to define the layout in which views will be arranged on the Android screen. There are various layouts available in Android that you can use to implement a user interface with a distinctive design that is in line with the requirements gathering of the app. Earlier in this course, you covered extensible markup language, or XML. Android layouts are written in XML. You declare a layout through a simple XML layout file located in the resource layout folder of any project you work on. When you create a project using a basic activity template, Android Studio generates a file called activity main.xml. Let's explore a few Android layouts that developers use regularly. First, you get Android LinearLayout. LinearLayout is an extension of a view group which is used to render different child view instances such as text, button, and so on. This layout is used by setting the orientation to either a horizontal or a vertical direction, one after the other. Next is the Android ConstraintLayout. ConstraintLayout is a view group subclass that enables developers to position and size child views or widgets flexibly using constraints. These constraints make it possible to position a child view relative to other views on the screen. For example, you need to use constraints to constrain child B to the right of child A or child C to the top of child A and B. Another layout is Android RecyclerView. This is a view group that can be used to display sets of data that can be scrolled. The item views inside the RecyclerView are positioned using layout managers. For example, Linear Layout Manager displays items in a vertical or horizontal list, and Grid Layout Manager displays items in a grid. And then you get Android WebView. WebView is an extension of a view group which is used to render web pages as part of an activity layout. Next, you will explore a practical demonstration of how to create a layout XML file for the main activity within the video player project that was created earlier. I have the video player project open that I created earlier in Android Studio. Remember, when I used a basic activity template to create the project, a set of folders, including the layout folder, was automatically created. I will now create a simple activity file with no UI elements within the layout folder. I right-click on the layout folder, go to New, and then click on Layout Resource File. I call it Activity Main. Android Studio will add the XML extension by default because it recognizes that it is a layout file. I now have to specify the root element. The root element defines a particular view group that I will use to create all the UI components. For this screen UI, I have chosen the constraint layout. As I discussed earlier, there are different types of layouts, such as linear, relative, and so on. The constraint layout is an extension of the view group. I will use the constraint layout as the parent component which will hold all the other UI elements together. I click on OK to create the activity main file. Notice that the file is currently empty because it does not have any UI components yet. In later videos, you will learn how to add UI components within the constraint layout. By now, you should know what layouts are and how they are used in Android app development. You also learned how to create a layout file in the layout folder of a project.